Hi there, I'm Angus from AngusDriving.co.uk. Going to have a look at a few changes that have happened in the Edinburgh area since the second lockdown for the coronavirus. A lot of cycle lanes have been put in, speed limits have changed, and spaces for people. So yeah, let's get into it and let's have a look at one of the routes that's changed slightly. So, as you'll probably recognise if you've been practising in the Currie test area, we're just coming down past the test centre. You can see it on the right there with the white frontage. At the moment, due to coronavirus, if you've got your driving test, you're coming, once you're ready for your test, you're coming walking around to the front of the building there, and you're just standing outside on the pavement there, and the examiner will come out when it's your test time. At the roundabout here, we're going to turn right up to the third exit. So interior mirror, right door mirror, signal right. And I'm just coming in slow enough. I'm already in second gear because it's a 20 miles an hour zone. I'm looking to the right, it all looks okay. So because I'm going right, I'm staying beside the roundabout as I go round. Now as I go round the roundabout, when I get round to my exit, before I leave, I'm going to check interior mirror, left door mirror, signal left, then I'm going to move across to the left. This is all still 20 miles an hour going down through here, speed bumped. So yeah, you're just sort of making your way down. I should fit through with this van here, so that's all good, because that red car is on the pavement. I was checking my mirrors as I come around it. If that red car had not been sort of fully on the pavement, I thought that was going to be a bit narrower, then yes, I'd have to give way to the oncoming traffic because the obstruction's on my side. So it's very easy to go over 20 going down here, especially as it goes downhill and starts to open up. So just got to sort of, you know, keep checking in on the speed, because sometimes with people around you, you might not be able to go. Yeah, like they have a tendency to speed up sometimes, and be ashamed to follow them over 20, and then yeah, get marked down or even fail your driving test for speeding. Further down the road here, it goes into a 40. And yeah, from there, if suitable, I can start to pick up the speed. So I'm just really keeping an eye on the speed. I'm bang on 20 at the moment, and yeah, like it goes into a 40 here. I'm going to check interior mirror, right door mirror, no one's overtaking me, so I'm going to accelerate gently. I'm going to use second gear to propel my speed up slightly, and then I'm going to go up into third. So down here it's a bit windier. I'm just sort of going at a speed that I feel I can see, and I can smoothly stop within the distance I can see. As it gets tighter down here, with traffic coming towards me, I find if you look at the curb on the left ahead, rather than looking at that silver car coming towards you, it won't feel as tight and you'll be quite accurate with what you do, especially if you meet like a bus or a lorry or something coming through here. Now, we're coming down to some roundabouts down here, and we're going to go straight on at this first roundabout, following the road ahead, second exit. If you come down here in your driving test, you're always going to go straight on second exit, because they're not going to take you into Heriot-Watt University. Looking at the sign here, you can only go left or straight on, so there's no right turn on the roundabout, so it's likely to be marked in the right lane, which it is. So I'm going to check my interior mirror, I'm going to start to brake gently, bringing the speed down. I'm going to drop the speed down under 20, I'm going to have a look at the roundabout. It looks quite good, so I'm going to select second gear before it curves. I'm in the right lane and off I go. I'm now going to gently accelerate, stay to the right because it was marked in the right, and follow round. Now when it's time to leave, I'm going to do interior mirror, left door mirror, signal left, and I'm just going to let the car go across back to sort of the centre of this lane. If, of course, when I checked those mirrors, if there had been somebody that had broken the rules that was beside me, I'd have to deal with that. Same again, straight on, second exit. You can only go left or straight on, likely to be marked in the right, which it is. I'm going to check my interior mirror, I'm going to brake gently. I'm in third gear on the approach, I'm braking gently, I'm looking at the roundabout, it looks good. I'm down to 20, I'm going to go down to second gear, clutch up before the roundabout, and I'm going to stay with the roundabout as I go. So I'm staying with the roundabout as I go round, and then when it's time to leave, I'm going to do interior mirror, left door mirror, signal left to come off. Now I'm going to turn right for Edinburgh at this roundabout. So looking at the sign here, I can see Edinburgh's to the right. So I'm going to do interior mirror, right door mirror, signal right. Now this is new since the second lockdown. They've now put traffic lights on this roundabout, which makes it a bit easier. You just obviously just follow what's happening with the traffic lights. So as I queue up here, I want to make sure I don't go too close to the car in front. I always want to be able to see a little bit of road between me and the vehicle in front. So I want to be able to see their back wheels touching the ground. So yeah, just so I'm not too close. Shortly the traffic light's going to change. Now this is a spiral roundabout. It all starts off the same. We're in the right lane, we're going to the right, but as we go around the roundabout, a new line forms on my right that comes off the roundabout. So when that happens, I've got to not cross that, I've got to go around that. Now, this roundabout spirals quite sort of directly, so I'll show you as I go round. So I'm staying with the roundabout as I go round, and then this new line forms here. Now I'm going to check my left mirror as I start to spiral out, because sometimes people have a tendency to spiral a little bit early and potentially get near you on your left. I'm going to check mirror, mirror, signal to the left. The time of day at the moment is 10:30, so I'm going to remain in the bus lane because the bus lane is not in action. I'm going to accelerate up to 40. So the bus lanes in Edinburgh, you'll see on the blue sign, it tells you that they're in action in the morning rush hour and the evening rush hour. So between 7:30 and 9:30 in the morning, and 4 o'clock and 6:30 at night. Now I'm going to go straight on at this roundabout for city centre. I would expect the left lane to go ahead. It's controlled by traffic lights. I'm going to check my interior mirror. I'm going to start to brake. That left, the sign on the left there confirmed that the left lane does go ahead. So both the left and the middle lane go ahead at this roundabout. You would favour the left lane unless you have a reason to be in the right. So if it was very, very busy and I needed to be sort of in this middle lane, then fine. But yeah, like I think you want to just remain left. That would be quite important in the driving test. Alternatively, if you came up here and there was maybe a big group of cyclists or something, then yeah, you might be thinking, I don't want to be stuck behind them going through the roundabout, I'll use the middle lane. But yeah, on your average day, just stay to the left. So off we go, it's going green. Now the road markings are really bad on this roundabout at the moment, but we're in the left, so we're just going to stay as left as we can. So as we go, I'm going to stay with this curb, and then I'm going to stay with the curb on the bridge, just staying on the completely outside of the roundabout. Now, exit is coming up, traffic lights are green at the moment, so as I approach, I'm going to do interior mirror, left door mirror, signal left for coming off. Looking at the pedestrian crossing ahead, looks like no one's there, so I'm going to use second to propel myself up towards 40. If of course there was somebody standing at that set of traffic lights there pushing the button, then I'd have to be careful with how much I accelerated, because it's very likely to change to red, and it would be a wee bit silly to really accelerate and then have to brake and sort of, you know, like undo all of that. So as we go along here, just making sure I don't go over 40. Today we're just going to go straight on. If you were coming along here and you were told you were turning right, that would be a reason to drive in the right. Or if you're following a sat nav that said you're turning right, then yeah, you'd want to make the move. Now we're going to go straight on. The roundabout's controlled by traffic lights, which are red, so I know they're going to slow me down. So I'm going to check my interior mirror and I'm going to start to brake gently. Now following my lane here, it just twists and it goes into the middle of the three, so in this lane behind the bus and the van. Again, stopping so I can still see the wheels of the car in front touching the ground. It's a slight hill, so I'm going to put my handbrake on. I'm going to get my feet ready with my accelerator and the biting point, and then release my handbrake. Once I've got that, that'll prevent me from rolling back. So it's green, just match your lane, middle to the middle of the three. And yeah, just sort of follow with it. The roundabout spirals as well. Coming round here, I'm going to do interior mirror, left door mirror, signal left. So there's these signs saying merge ahead, but at this time of day, that's for the bus lane, but it's not in action. But if you were doing your driving test at 8 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning, you would want to think about moving as soon as possible there, because there's a bus lane coming up. At this time of day, yep, we would stay in it. Nobody's at the pedestrian crossing, so it's not going to change. So we've got this bus lane, as I said, okay to drive in it. The next thing we've got here, we've got these lights that might flash. If these started flashing, the fire brigade are going out on a call, you would just stop. They're not flashing, so okay. Now we're going to turn left for Christopherson, so it's left, first exit of the roundabout. So as I approach, interior mirror, left door mirror, signal left. Now you've got this hedge that runs all the way to the end here. That's intentionally there to slow you down. So I'm bringing the speed down, can't really see. Buses sort of almost stopped. So I'm going to go into first gear like a junction, I'm just going to roll up. Seems like there's one car coming round, and then it looks okay after that, so I'm going to accelerate and lift my clutch, and away I go. Now you've got to be careful as you turn into this road. You can see it goes into a 30 miles an hour zone. It's very easy to miss that, especially if you've started to get used to doing 40 coming down that dual carriageway. With this being downhill and wide, it's very easy to then go over the speed limit going down here. So you've got to keep checking in on them. So if the road was street lit with no signs saying anything else, then it should be 30. If it was anything else and street lit, it should be repeated on every fourth lamppost. The crossing looks good ahead, no one's at it. So yeah, if this was a 40, every fourth lamppost should have a small 40 sign on it to repeat that speed throughout the area. Now, coming down to the roundabout down here, I'm going to continue following for Christopherson, okay? So as I approach the roundabouts down there, I'm going to check my interior mirror because I know I'm going to have to slow down. So I'm braking gently. The sign's a bit covered here. What I can see is not to the right. I can now see it on the sign there, it's straight on, so I would expect the left lane to go ahead, which it does. So I'm braking gently, I'm in third as I'm approaching, it looks good, so I'm going to go drop into second gear, clutch up before I go onto the roundabout, staying on the outside. And once I've passed this, I'm going to do interior mirror, left door mirror, signal left. Now, this road's changed since the last lockdown. You've got a cycle lane that's been put in, you've got this pedestrian crossing which no one's there, that was there before, and they've changed this into a 20 now, so making sure you don't go over 20, which feels very slow going along here. So this used to be a 30, but they've changed it to a 20. You've got this cycle lane, which feels a bit narrow with the traffic islands here, but if you try and keep your car fairly straight, then yeah, it should be that you manage to get through no problem at all. And then just really keep an eye on the speed, because it is so easy to go over 20 going along here. Apart from the speed, not too much really happens on this road. Like, so yeah, you just check you don't go over. Pedestrian crossing is changing to red ahead, so I know that's going to slow me or stop me, so I'm going to check my interior mirror, and then I can ease off the power as I get closer. Again, I'm going to be stopping so I can still see the back wheels of this vehicle touching the ground, so a little bit of road between me and the vehicle in front. So I'm going down into first. It's a slight hill, so once I've stopped, I'm going to put my handbrake on. That frees up my right foot to be over the accelerator. It's changing, so I'm going to do the accelerator and the biting point. When the car in front moves, I'm going to release the handbrake. And it's good to have a wee check back in the sort of mirrors there to see if anything's, you know, potentially coming up the sides of you. Because you're going straight, it shouldn't matter too much if there was a cyclist coming up the cycle lane, but it would definitely be good to be aware of them. So yeah, as you can see, the Mini ahead is, yeah, it's going slightly over 20, so it feels like it feels like you're almost doing something wrong because you're doing 20 and yeah, they seem to be disappearing off. And then you will sometimes be conscious of the people behind sort of kind of bunching up behind you, but you've got to just do your best and just try not to go over 20, especially as it goes downhill here. I'm just lifting off the accelerator so it doesn't go over 20. I'm sitting at 19, that's close enough. Like sort of, yeah, sometimes if you sit bang on 20 on your digital speedometer, then sometimes it can tip over. So yeah, it's gone back to 20 just now, but yeah, it's sort of back to 19. So yeah, just trying not to let that go up to 21, because yeah, that would definitely be marked down. Next thing that might interrupt me, I've got another pedestrian crossing coming up, so yeah, I'm just driving along and soon I'll be able to see if anybody's at it, you know, standing at it, pushing the button or whatever. Looking at both sides down there, it looks clear, nobody's at it, so it's not going to change. And soon we'll be down, yeah, this road takes a while doing 20. Now, around here at the traffic lights, we're going to turn to the right. Sometimes you could be turned into the left to go into that Tesco to do a manoeuvre like going into a car park. If you were turning left at the end, you have to cross the cycle lane, so you just have to be very careful, like making sure there is no cyclist there. We're going to be turning right, so it's interior mirror, right door mirror, signal right, and then you'll see the right lane there. I'm just going to stay with this line, really sort of get myself into this, neatly into this lane. Now, looking further out onto the other side of the junction there, you can see two traffic lights side by side. So what that would normally indicate would be that the traffic lights are going to potentially be filters and they're going to change maybe separately. So I've had a few people over the years here, when they are not concentrating properly, when they see the traffic light changing to amber, like on the left out there, if it's only the one on the left, that's usually for going left and straight on, not for turning right. So I've had a few people, when it changes, they don't sort of, they get themselves ready and they start to go, but they're actually going through a red light. So we'll see when it goes green, if it goes green for all of us or if it just goes green for the traffic beside us, just so then you're aware of what you're looking at. Also, this traffic light right beside you is for you. So you can see there it's changed, but only for going straight on and left, where the traffic light here on my right is red, and when you look across to the other side of the junction, it's red. Now, if we get a green arrow when it changes, there we go, so I'm just checking my interior mirror and right mirror just to check there's sort of no one coming up there. Because we've got a green arrow, we're good just to turn. You've got this wee traffic island indicating that you go round on the left of it. This road's still 20 as you go along here, and you can see the 20 on the lamppost, so there should be small 20s on every fourth lamppost as you go along. So yeah, lots of cycle lanes and parking spaces on this road. So lots of mirror checks as you move around these things. So as I sort of come back over here, I'm just checking mirrors as I come round. It does get a bit confusing with the amount of paint on the road. It's quite easy to start sort of like getting a bit confused. So just trying to take your time and concentrate on the things. And we're going to go straight on here. Now, we've got a traffic camming thing that they've put in, and you can see it's not our right of way. So looking ahead, there's a bus there, but I think I can get through here before the bus gets here, so I'm going to continue on. If the bus was slightly closer, then I would have to give way there because we had the small arrow, so the car behind's given way. This has all just been widened outside the school so people can walk past each other. The pedestrian crossing's okay, nobody's at it, so that's not going to change. Further along, we've got another traffic camming, traffic camming sort of thing, where we've got the big arrow this time, so we've got right of way. The traffic on the other side should give way to us. So it looks like that car's going to give way, so I'm going to give him a wee wave to say thank you, just to be polite. Now, as I go around here, I'm going to check my mirror because I'm not sure what's around the corner. I'm just going to stay sort of on the outside of the corner as I come round, and it's all looking good, and I'm just staying at 20 as I go along. And I was watching that lady was thinking about crossing, which is not, so that's fine. And coming down here, so this guy potentially is not going to pull out, but yeah, that's the sort of thing you'll be looking at, sort of be ready for. Now we're going to turn right. It's just behind these two vans here, so we're going to do interior mirror, right door mirror, signal right, and I'm going to stay neat to this line, really up against it. Looking ahead, it looks okay to turn in, so when the centre of this road lines up with my knee, I'm going to turn us in. Looking along this road, it looks busy, but it looks okay to continue, so I'm just moving out into the middle. Where if I did look along there and it didn't look okay, then I might have to pause there until something came out. So there's a car here, and it looks like it's maybe stopping, like to give way to me, or just stopping. So yeah, I'm going to be able to continue on. Further along here, I'm going to find a safe place on the left to pull up and stop. So it looks like there's a nice big space coming up. So I'm going to do interior mirror, left door mirror, signal left. And then I'm going to bring myself in here and then drive along, so I'm nice and level. I'm going to click the signal back on because it's gone off, and I'm just going to stop nice and neat with the curb here, and then handbrake on, into neutral, cancel signal. So what you're looking for when you're asked to pull up on the left is a nice place on the left that you could park the car for the day, so not blocking somebody's driveway. And then you don't want to be opposite something that's going to make the road narrow, so don't be opposite a parked car, and don't be opposite a road. So if there was a junction there in these housing estates, it's going to be hard not to be opposite something like a driveway, so that's okay. But basically, don't be opposite a parked car or a road. Okay, drive on when you're ready. So into first gear, checking my mirrors, it all looks good, and then you'll have to check your right blind spot. So hopefully you've been doing that when you've been practicing. So get to, it all looks good. So get my feet ready, mirror, mirror, right shoulder, all looks good. Signal on, release my handbrake, and away I go. So continuing along this road, it looks busy with learners. So yeah, we're just driving along. And when we get along to the end of the road here, we're going to be turning to the left. Now, at the end of the road here, you might see on the video here, it's a stop junction rather than a give way. So we must stop at this road end. So as I approach, I'm going to do interior mirror, left door mirror, signal left. And then the same as a give way, I'm going to do gentle braking as I approach, and then I'm going to go clutch down and into first, but you must stop. You must go to complete zero. So I'm just going to stay back from this guy. They should stop. They've stopped. That's good. And then if it's clear, they'll go. Now, it's difficult with these posts because they've cammed the area down with the posts, so you've got to watch you don't get too close to them. So I'm going all the way up to where I can see both ways, gently coming to a stop, completely zero, completely stopped, happy both ways, off I go. And then just being careful with this post as I go around it, and it all looks good. Still all speed bumps and stuff on this road, so still 20. Going to turn left into this road coming up, so interior mirror, left door mirror, signal left. And then I'm going to stay with this curb as I go around. I'm going nice and slow, really keeping it tucked, especially when I see that parked car there. What I can't see down the road yet, but with that parked car, what I do know is if anyone's coming towards me, they're going to be in the middle of the road. Okay, as you drive along here, I'm just checking the mirrors out, find a safe place on the left to pull up and stop. So mirror, mirror, signal, bringing myself in, and then I'm going to go along till I'm parallel. I'm going to click that signal on until I've stopped, all the way past this driveway, and I'm going to bring myself nice and neatly with the curb here and come to a stop. Again, I've chosen somewhere that's in a nice open bit, not opposite a parked car, not opposite the road. Drive on when you're ready. So into first gear, feet ready, mirror, mirror, right shoulder, all looks good. So I'm going to do a wee signal, just because the road's full of like parked cars and people walking and stuff, so just so people know that I'm on the move. If there was absolutely nobody there, then you might have read in your theory test that you don't have to signal, which yeah, that's true. But you will not be marked down for signalling if there's nobody there, so I would just signal. I mean, you can't be, yeah, like you're not going to go wrong with it. As long as you don't cancel it after, you don't end up driving along with it on. At the end of the road, we're going to turn to the right. So mirror, mirror, signal right. After this red car, I'm going to get back to my side of the road. So I'm just checking the mirrors as I come round, back into this section here, so that if I can't go, while I'm waiting, people can still turn into the junction. It looks okay both ways. I've got this road opposite me as well, that looks okay. If somebody was coming out of there, turning the same way as me, like along to the left there, they would have right of way over me because I'm crossing over their path. This road's still 20, you can see the repeater signs there. So yeah, just driving along, just making sure that I don't go over 20. And it's, as you see, it's all the same things where you go. The crossing ahead, nobody's at it, so that's not going to change. This lorry's going to be out the way. I'm just going to check my mirror so that if it does, for whatever reason, take a while to go, then if I needed to slow down, I've already checked what the situation is behind me. Roadworks, temporary traffic lights are at red, checking my mirror, smooth braking. I'm just going to stop somewhere here so that I'm not jamming myself in right up against the cones. What you've got to be careful with the temporary traffic lights is sometimes you got to think about where you're stopping. So behind me there's a sort of turn off into those shops. Because these are temporary traffic lights, you probably won't have a keep clear on the ground or a yellow box, because it probably doesn't queue up here that much. So if you arrived here, you just have to double check that where you're stopping is suitable. I've got a video in my channel that you could have a look at, sort of trying to cover things about temporary traffic lights, common mistakes people make. When this does go green, I'm going to make sure that I'm checking my mirrors before I move out, because you can imagine when it's red like this, something like a cyclist or a motorbike could easily make their way down to the front of the traffic lights here. And yeah, they would be potentially coming up my right, so I just want to make sure that that's all okay before I move across. So there we go, checking mirror, all looks good. I'm going to actually have a wee glance from my shoulder here, because of all these parked cars, just to check that nobody's doing anything like, you know, like, I don't know, potentially coming out to one of those spaces, because in that case my blind spot would line up perfectly with them. So if you felt that your blind spot at that point was going to have something in it that potentially could like move to where you were, then yeah, definitely having a check would be a good idea. So making sure I don't go over 20 again, because I'm first in the queue. It's very easy with the open road. Crossing looks good, there's nobody at it, so that's not going to change. And then along here at the traffic lights under the bridge in the distance, we're going to go straight on. Now it's marked in the right lane to go ahead. The road markings are very late, so normally the examiner would tell you that, because you won't really have much warning until you get to it. So yeah, we're going to go straight on, marked in the right lane to go ahead. As you come along here, the speed limit changes back into a 30, so you'll see the signs on either side of the road there. And we're going to be first in the queue with it, like as we come up here, we're in this right lane, and I'll try and explain what would happen if you were not first in the queue. So I'm coming up, I'm going to stop just before this cycle box, and then it is a bit of a hill, so I'm going to go handbrake on. Now, we're going straight on, so when we go, we'll be sort of returning onto the other side of the road there, other side of the junction, but going back over to the left. So as I take that diagonal line, I definitely want to check this left door mirror to check that the people in the left lane beside me have turned left, that they're not gone straight on. Hopefully they shouldn't, they shouldn't do that, and yeah, hopefully they won't have, but I'm just going to double check. Now, if we were a few, the second car in this queue or more, then potentially the car in front of you could be turning right at these traffic lights. So if you remember, if you were turning right here, at Crossroads, when it goes green, you would have to give way to oncoming traffic. So what would happen is the car would pull out to the middle and then wait. You would pass on the left if it was clear. So as I go in green, I'm just checking my mirrors to interior and left as I go, and I'm all good. But yeah, what could happen there is, if you were the second car or more, the car in front of you could pull forwards, and then it would be waiting to turn right. And then if it was clear on your left, you would just check mirrors and just go around it and just continue making your way up the road. If it wasn't clear, you'd have to wait until it was clear, but just be careful that you don't go too close to the car while you're waiting. The 20 sign here is only 20 when it's flashing. It's not flashing. That will flash when the school goes in and out, and sometimes at lunchtimes for certain schools. Crossing looks okay, no one's at that. If that was flashing, you would remain at 20 until you got to the 30 sign, which you'll see on the back of the school sign on the right there. It says 30 there. It would be between those two zones that the 20 would apply. Going to continue straight on at this roundabout, following the road ahead, second exit. So for straight on, I'd expect the left lane unless road markings say otherwise. So once I've passed these parked cars, I'm going to check interior mirror, left door mirror, and I'm braking. It looks very busy, so I'm going to go down into first like a junction, and I'm going to make sure that I go all the way up to the line here, then I can see past this car beside me. It looks okay now, so I'm doing plenty of accelerator, lifting the clutch. I'm going to stay on the outside of the circle as I go around. Then once I've passed this, I'm coming off here, I'm going to check interior mirror, left door mirror, signal left. Now, still 30 on this road for now, but further down they've changed this into a 20 zone, and then they've cammed this roundabout with new road markings as well, so we'll have a look at that. So you can see the 20 sign on the right down there. It's a wee bit weird because they've put them on the lamppost, so they're not like level. So yeah, bringing it down to 20, I'm already still in second from that roundabout, and yeah, I'll just stay in second for the 20. I'm going to continue straight on at this roundabout, following the road ahead. So usually you'd be in the left, but what they've done is they've narrowed this roundabout just to one lane to calm it down. So yeah, we just don't go into that hatched area with a solid line. It looks okay to continue, so I'm going to continue, and I'm just going to stay on the outside of this roundabout as I go round. And then when I come to leave here, I'm going to do interior mirror, left door mirror, signal left. So we've got more cycle lanes and stuff going along here. And just the same as what we had on one of the roads previously, lots of like parking spaces and stuff that they've put in. So now that's some of these cycle lanes, anything that's got a solid line, you're not to go across. So like this hatched area, got a solid line around it, you're not to go across it. If it had a dashed line, if you needed to drive through it, then you can. But yeah, it doesn't. So continuing along here, it gets a wee bit confusing because they've painted bikes and stuff on the road. I think that's just telling the bikes to come that side of the cars and stuff, but it can get a wee bit confusing, and I'm not totally sure why they're all there, but that's that. Nobody's at the crossing, so that's not going to change. Just being really careful you don't go over 20 going along here. It's so easily done. And there's more bollards and stuff, and then spaces up here with the parked cars. It looks a bit strange when the cars are parked sort of out the cycle lane there, but the reason the spaces are there is the cycle lane's got a solid line, so the vehicles aren't to go into it, so they've bollarded it off so the bikes can continue along the end there. It's good. So as we drive along here, we come to the only 24-hour bus lane in the Currie test area. So I'll show you how you know it's a 24-hour bus lane, and I've got a small video on bus lanes to do with this one, which you can revise if you've got your test coming up. So I'm going to continue straight on here. Traffic lights are red. I'm making sure I don't go over 20. Traffic lights are green. They've been green for a bit, so I'm going to check my mirror in case they go to red, but they've stayed green, so I'm going to continue through. Looking ahead here, we've got the bus lane, we've got a blue sign, but there's no times underneath it, so it's always in action. They've then written 24-hour bus lane in operation 7 days per week, so you do not drive in that bus lane, you always stay out of it. Making sure I don't go over 20 as I go along here. When we get along to the traffic lights here, we're going to turn to the right. So we've got the 30 miles an hour sign there on the left and the right. We're going to turn right, interior mirror, right door mirror, signal right, and I'll need to go into this right lane here. The reason that's a 24-hour bus lane is it skips the traffic lights going round there. So if you came along there and you were turning left, you would come along to the traffic lights and then turn left. So just waiting, you can see that the traffic lights again are separate here, like so you're watching making sure you're sort of keeping an eye on the ones relevant to your lane. Won't be too long. And then with all these current sort of these newer changes, the sat nav that the examiner will bring normally has like speed limits on it, but the speed limits won't necessarily be up to date. So be wary that you don't sort of look at their sat nav and read, oh, it's a 30 this road, because something like that road there was reading 30 on my sat nav, where it's not. So just checking mirrors before I sort of pull forwards, and then we're off. Now this road used to be 2 lanes if you'd driven it before in the past, but they've narrowed it all down to 1 lane with cycle lanes and stuff. And it used to change into a 40 further up, but they've kept it now as a 30. So I'm just driving up and just cruising along, just following the 1 lane. So you can see the 30 signs here, because that's where it used to change. So something like the sat nav still changes to 40 at that point, which is incorrect. But hopefully that will be updated in the near future, and that'll be one less thing to confuse you. So you can see the solid, the cycle lane solid at the side there, so you mustn't go into that, mustn't go over that. So we're staying out of that. A lot of the bits where it's solid, they've put the posts at these sort of bollards, so that kind of stops you going over it, so that's good. But occasionally there are sections where it doesn't have the posts, and you've got to just do not go over it. So I'm just making sure I don't go over 30 as I go up here, and looking ahead for the next thing that might interrupt me, but it all looks quite good at the moment. Got these park spaces, I'm just checking mirrors just to sort of make the line out. And then once I've cleared these cars, I'm just going to check interior mirror, left door mirror as I come back across. So hopefully you're finding these videos helpful. It'd be great if you could comment below if you've used them for your driving test or anything. It's always good to hear if people are, if they're helping people. And if you have anything that you would like me to do a video on, like in the sort of Currie test area, anything that's confusing you or you would like some further help with, then brilliant, like comment below and we'll see if we can add that into like future videos. I sometimes feel that the videos might get maybe a bit boring because I suppose it's limited roads that I can drive around, and I feel like I'm sometimes just saying the same stuff over and over again. I know we get different situations when we're out on the road, so there's always different things to talk about. So clearing these parking spaces, just checking interior and left as I come round, making sure I don't go over 30, and yeah, I think this is fairly straightforward, this road now. This used to be 2 lanes, you might see it in some of the previous videos, and you sometimes had to move in and out for parked cars and stuff, but and change lanes and stuff, but yeah, that doesn't exist anymore. So yeah, you just sort of make your way up the road and just don't go over the speed limit. Now further up here we're going to be turning left. We're not going to take this left here, it's going to be the second road on the left, but there's a solid white line that I want to show you. So not this one, but the one after the bus stop. So we're going to turn left into this road. So mirror signal, okay? Now if you look at that, they've marked the cycle lane continues, so you mustn't go over that solid line, you've got to go up and round it. So you're going to go down into second gear, they've made it really square, so then from here I'm going to go round and I'm just going to tuck myself in behind the van to look up into the road. Looks good, so I'm just checking as I move out and away. So being careful there with the way they've marked that, being careful you don't cut over that solid line, because that would be going in too early. Following this road round, we're back into 20, just checking mirrors as I come back across, staying left as I come around and looking along the road here. So we drive along here, find a safe place on the left to pull up and stop. So mirror signal, bringing myself in, nice and neat to these drivers. We're going to go past them and just stop beside the curb here and stop there. Drive on when you're ready. Okay, so into first gear, into first gear, get your feet ready, check the mirrors, all looks good. Checking the right shoulder is good, so I'm going to signal so this person along here is standing speaking to the person at the vehicle knows I'm away. And I'm going to turn right into this road coming up. So interior mirror, right door mirror, signal right. Looking ahead, it looks okay, so I'm just braking lightly to control it. In the centre of that road, lines up with my knee, going to turn myself in and that'll take me round. Looking down this road, all looks good, just making sure I don't go over 20. Now you're going to be pulled up about 4 or 5 times at the side of the road. It's just showing that you can select a suitable place to pull up and stop, and also showing you can check your blind spot before pulling away. Turning right at the end, interior mirror, right door mirror, signal right, nice and neat with this line, right up against it. Going down into first because I can't see, rolling up gently, and it looks good both ways, so accelerator and guide my clutch. And then we're going to do a manoeuvre as we go along here, find a safe place on the right to pull up and stop. So mirror signal, all looks good along here. Going to bring myself over nice and early because no one's coming towards me. Clicking that signal back on because it's clicked off. Driving along so I'm nice and neat and parallel with the curb, and I'm stopping before I get to the driveway. Handbrake, neutral, and then cancel signal. Same as pulling up on the left, you're looking for, if you get this, you're looking for somewhere on the right that's not blocking someone's driveway, not opposite a parked car making the road narrow, and not opposite a road. In regards to the driving test, if the examiner tells you to do that, it will exist. So it's not that they're going to say, you know, pull up on the left or the right during your test and you're thinking there's nowhere to pull up. The only thing that might vary there is there might then be somebody coming towards you before you go. So you would do the same, you would do mirrors and signal, but you would stop before you go onto the other side of the road, as if you were turning right. Just stop waiting there, even if there's traffic behind you, you've clearly signalled to say what you're doing. Wait till the oncoming traffic has come through. If it's all clear after that, go across, along and stop. Now the examiner is going to ask you to reverse back 2 car lengths. If you've managed to stop nice and straight and parallel, then in regards to your steering, you might not actually have to do much at all when you reverse back. So, I'm going to reverse back 2 car lengths. So clutch down into reverse, and you're not going to go, if anyone's driving up and down the road or walking on the pavement beside you, you're not going to go. So at the moment I've got to learn a car, but it seems to be stopping. So yeah, looks okay. Main thing with any of the manoeuvres you get asked to do in your driving test, you'll only be asked to do one, but the only thing they're looking for is, are you going to check both shoulders before you go? So I'm going to get my feet ready, checking both shoulders, all looks clear, no one's driving up and down or walking beside me. So I'm going to release my handbrake and I'm going to start to reverse back slowly, keeping my wheel nice and straight because that looks parallel with the curb. And I'm just running through these checks. If anybody does arrive, then I'm going to stop. And I'm going at a minimal speed. I'm demonstrating that I can manoeuvre the car, not drive backwards. I'm just going to go very slowly, just showing that I've got that fine control. If the car started to go too close to the curb, I would steer slightly away from the curb, and that would take me out from the curb. If it was the opposite, if I started to go away from the curb, I would steer slightly towards the curb, and that would bring me back in. And I'm just checking shoulder, shoulder as I go. Now, it doesn't matter when you reverse back here, it doesn't matter if you end up going over a driveway, that's fine, it's just your initial stop. So that's about 2 car lengths. The examiner would say stop, so I'm going to stop there, and then yeah, the examiner will now say drive on when you're ready. So normally when we leave, we check our right blind spot, but the traffic would be on our left. So I'm checking ahead, and it's all good. I thought there was something coming. Checking ahead, and then completely over my left. All looks good, so I'm going to signal so that learner along there knows I'm going to pull away, and I'm going to drive off. And that would be it, that would be the manoeuvre. So as long as you're going nice and slowly and you're looking over both shoulders regularly, then yeah, you can't really go too wrong with that. At the end of the road, I'm going to turn to the right. So as I approach, interior mirror, right door mirror, signal right. I'm staying nice and neat with the line as I approach. It goes back into a 30 here. So this guy's cut the corner, so I just have to pause just as they come round. You might get that. So yeah, rather than me swerving and going off line, I want to stay where I still want to arrive here, where if I like sort of obviously if they were really close I might have to react, but if I decided, oh, they're coming in, and moved across to the left, then I would be at this junction now away over there, and I won't be able to move. Looks okay both ways, so off I go. So yeah, so basically when that lady came in, she didn't wait until the centre of that road lined up with her knee. She just steered like well, way early, which you don't want to do unless there was a reason, and I didn't see any reason for her to do that. So yeah, but maybe just the way she drives. So we're back into this 30, building our speed up gently. We're just about back at the test centre. You're doing well. So further up here we've got a set of traffic lights that we're coming to. We're going to be turning to the left, and I can see there's a green arrow on for turning left. So I'm going to interior mirror, left door mirror, signal left. I'm selecting this left lane. It's green for me at the moment with the green arrow, so I'm slowing the car down. I'm going to go second gear. When that goes green for everybody, that green arrow goes off, but you can still turn to the left. Sometimes people get confused there when the green arrow disappears and the green circle comes on. They think, oh no, the green arrow's gone off, and they stop. But the green circle would override everything, so you're good just to continue on. Looking along the road, looking for the next thing that's going to interrupt me. All looks good. So yeah, I'm just continuing along at 30 at the moment. I suppose I've got a pedestrian crossing further along here, which could potentially like change, but I don't see anybody at the right. I'm looking along the left, that looks good, so that's not going to change. Where if I did see somebody at it, I'd be checking my mirror, I'd be thinking about sort of as I got closer, maybe easing off the power. Cyclists on the right, I'm going to just edge over to the left because people are going to come around those cyclists. Find a safe place on the left to pull up and stop. So interior mirror, left door mirror, signal left. Bringing myself in, just braking gently, bringing the speed down, getting myself lined up beside the curb here. I'm happy with that. I'm going to confirm in that left door mirror just before I stop. I'm going to stop there. Okay, drive on when you're ready. So there's a line of traffic coming down the road behind me. I've got no intention of going in front of it. I'm going to go clutch down into first gear, but I'm not going to signal because I have no intention of going in front of it. There's now a gap coming up, getting my feet ready, double check on my right shoulder, signal now, and away I go. So if you saw like a line of 5 cars coming and you had no intention of going in front of them, I would not signal before they like if you're not wanting to go in front of them, I would not sit with your signal on, because one of those cars might suddenly stop to let you go and you won't be ready for it, and it's all going to turn into a bit of a mess. Where if you don't signal, none of those cars will stop to let you go and you can go on your own time. If you thought that the only possible way to pull away from the side of the road there was if somebody let you go, then of course you would pop your signal on and somebody will let you go. In regards to a driving test, they would not usually pull you up on a road that was quite as busy as that, because it'd be a bit of a nightmare to pull away. As I drive through here, a bit narrower, I know that van's going to come off the parked cars, so I'm checking my mirrors as I tighten slightly over to the left. Further up, I'm wanting to stay off the van and all these parked cars, so I'm checking interior and right as I drift out. The right of the crossing looks good, the left looks good as well. And looking ahead, if I just stay on this line, I'm going to ease off because I know it's going to be a wee bit tighter with this van, but if I just stay off the power, I can just come through slowly, and then I can check mirrors as I just edge slightly back over. Somebody's at the bus stop on the right there, so a bus is due coming towards me, and I'm just sort of edging through, looking ahead for the next thing that's going to potentially interrupt me. But yeah, all good. Got a nice line off these cars. Once I've cleared them, interior left, and I'm just checking I don't go over 30. Further up, we've got a set of traffic lights. Because they're traffic lights rather than a pedestrian crossing, then potentially they could change. So again, as I approach, I'm thinking like that. So as I approach, I'm checking my interior mirror. Guy behind's got an okay gap. I'm going to just ease off the accelerator slightly, so if it did change, it's not going to be such a big thing. Stayed green, so I'm going to just gently press the power again. So the reason I'm easing off is so that if that does change to red, I won't have to stop from such a high speed. You know, like, so I let it dip down to like 25, and it'll be smooth if I have to stop, so I'm all prepared. We're just about back. We're on the final straight, so as long as it's all gone well, then you've got nothing to worry about. Crossing looks good, no one's at either side, so yeah, we're all good, just continuing on up. So yeah, on the day of your driving test, the examiner will mark on their iPad all the way around. Even if you went round the test route and you made absolutely no mistakes, they will be marking which route you've done, what manoeuvre you've done, how many times you've pulled up at the side of the road. So try not to let that sort of bother you too much. I know it's very easy for me to say when I'm not doing the test, but yeah, there's routine. Okay, I'm going to turn right along here. So I'm going to interior mirror, right door mirror, signal right. I'm braking gently. I'm in third gear at the moment. I'm going to look up the road and decide. Now it looks quite busy, so I'm thinking I'm going to have to give way to this red car, so I'm going to go clutch down and into first gear, and I'm nice and neat with this line, and I'm going up to the centre of the road that I'm turning into, lining up with my knee, but no further. After the white car I'm going to go, so I'm keeping my wheels straight at the moment, and once it's gone, I'm going to do accelerator and guide the clutch, and then big steering. Looking through here, it looks a bit narrow, and the obstructions are on my side, so I'm going to gently stop here as this learner car comes through. And once it comes through, I'm going to move along, and that'll be different on each day as to where you can, like how far you can maybe go along. Obviously if there was nobody coming, that's fine, but a tricky wee bit here. It's actually quite horrible to drive back into the test centre down here. Now I don't know what's over there, so I'm going to check interior left. I'm going to sort of come back to the left slightly so I can look down the hill. It looks okay, so I'm now going to take a slightly wider line again, but just so I'm not approaching the brow of the hill on the wrong side of the road. Checking interior mirror, left door mirror. I've got a motorbike. If I just brake gently going down here, I can time it that motorbike's through and out from those cars before I get there, which will be easy. And that would be you. We're on the final bit here. We're coming back down to where the test centre is. Now today tests are actually happening right now. I don't want to go into the car park and get in their way, so yeah, I'm just going to drive past and I'll wrap up the video as we go. But basically, yeah, that would be the end of it. You would be taken in and probably just into the car park over there, and you just gently stop, and then that would be you. The examiner would run through the test with you. So yeah, best of luck with the test on the day. As I say, if there's anything, if you've liked this, then yeah, like please leave a comment and stuff. That would lets me know that you're using them and enjoying them. And yeah, brilliant to hear from you if you have used them and you've been successful in your test, which I'm sure there's no reason why you won't be. So yeah, good luck on the day, and hopefully you're on the road soon.